This is Joe Miyake with Lead Finder Services, but more importantly, this is talking to, frankly, real entrepreneurs with real businesses and talking about the journey of what being a business owner is in this day and age. You know, there's a lot of talk online about, oh, start a business this, start a business that, but more importantly, it's important to identify, well, what it actually means by talking to people actually running companies. So today we have James. And James, how do you pronounce your last name?
Migliore. Yeah, I don't.
Migliore. Okay, gotcha.
Nobody gets
it. All right, we have James Migliore, and he owns the company Billow IP with a couple people, and he's been gracious enough to talk with us today. So James, just how's it going in general?
Not bad, not bad.
All right.
Complaints. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. So a lot of people listening to this probably don't know about your company at all, and his company is Billow IP. But give us the elevator pitch.
Yeah, so we are a IT management consulting company. So we specialize in helping with additions and modifications for, IT services, whether that be, basic internet, phone service, all the way to, cloud infrastructure or cybersecurity or, anything that falls underneath that umbrella. So we help out with, support, procurement, and project management.
Okay. And then in particular, as you look at the business, what are your responsibilities within it?
That's a loaded question. I think you definitely understand that.
Yeah.
Specifically, I do a lot of sales stuff, as do my partners. I've taken on a marketing role, so I do social media management and it's some other outgoing marketing stuff, but that's the beauty of it. There's something new every day, it seems like.
Yeah, a lot of fires to put out, just depending on the day. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So when did your journey start, really?
It started out early 2017. It's actually kind of a crazy story. I was working for a larger telecommunications provider for almost 2 years. Enjoyed the job. It was just a sales job, and I had met with some people, kind of liked what they did. Thought about it, always kind of wanted to own my own business. One morning walked into work, and all of a sudden HR smacks down a large packet and tells everybody, all 100 salespeople in the company were laid off. And that was, at first I was like, damn, that sucks. And then, 20 minutes later, I said to my partner, I was like, we should really consider starting, the company we've been talking about, and, no better time than then. And here we are.
Certainly. Okay. And then just for clarification, how old are you?
I'm 26.
Okay. And then when you really look at your company now, what do you think are the parts that you're most proud of what you've been able to accomplish?
Man, that's a good one too. I think that when we first started, I had really high expectations. The learning curve was mean, it was a very, very large punch to the face, but it was something that I learned a lot from. But I think that sometimes the biggest thing to be proud of is that, as a person who comes from sales and somebody who did it pretty well, it's nice to have somebody buy into what you're selling as you as the person rather than a big logo behind you. So all the people that we've, been able to work with, it's nice knowing that, they put their trust in us rather than, just a big corporate logo.
Yeah, and you actually brought up two things I want to dive into more. The first one is, you said it was I think you used the words large punch in the face. What?
Yeah.
Go into that a little bit more, because that's not talked about enough.
When we first started, it was like we sat down, we did projections, kind of like thought about what we could, certain potential clients, ones that felt like just a lock, and the large curve came from, changing the type of selling we were doing. It went from like a grind and push and sell to who you can to like a more consultative role. So we tried to be more laid back, and that ultimately hurt us because we weren't pushing enough. Yes, and it was having to sit down and be like, yeah, we're not going to come anywhere near what we want to come to, was humbling to say the least. But it was good because it's never a bad thing to have to kind of put things in perspective and really understand what you need to do to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, certainly. And then the second interesting item you brought up was selling when you don't have a brand, which is also an interesting problem to solve. And, you may not have the perfect answer, but what was your answer, to your real life entrepreneur problem, selling when you don't have a brand?
It was getting people to listen to the elevator pitch. It's like I was so used to calling in the phone and being like, "Hi, this is James with blah blah blah," and then going running through it and then trying to get a meeting. And before that, now it was Billow IP. What's that? Do I know you? It's a little bit more tense. And it was a little bit more to overcome. It's like the website at first was something we had put off GoDaddy, and it was terrible. Sending it out, people looking at it, they get responses back after that again.
Okay.
So it was, things we learned from not having any online presence. And I got a lot of feedback from people, prospective clients, clients we worked with, what we needed to look a little bit more reliable and worth actually meeting with. And it was, once we changed the website, people were a little bit more receptive to. And I never really thought that would be a thing. I kind of just thought it was, if they had a need, and you did a decent enough job, they'd be interested. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of things that go into it. A lot of people do like 3 hours of online research before they even start fielding calls for things, and it's the internet is a good thing, but it also makes things pretty challenging sometimes.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions on somebody's mind, and they're hoping if you don't answer it, they're going to look at your website, and if they don't like your website, well, they're probably not going to want to talk to you again.
That's a wrap, right?
Yeah. All right. Now, you have experience in sales, and you mentioned getting them to listen to the elevator pitch. But in particular, with your experience in sales, how did you polish? What were the steps of polishing your elevator pitch as you kept pitching individuals? And maybe if you could go through, some actual stories and not just the content.
That's another part that was a learning curve, and I think it was just because there was so much more on the line rather than before. It was like a perfectionist kind of matter. I was like, it didn't feel as smooth and as natural in the beginning because I just wanted it to be perfect. And I just like went through it like so many different times. Like sat down with my partner, I was like, we just need to be like touched up just a little bit, but once it got like a little bit more loose and kind of just worked with what we had, it was a lot smoother and it worked a lot better. But
okay,
yeah, like I said, I just think it was a matter of wanting it to be perfect because it was created from me and not a variation of something that I had heard before.
Yeah. But go into a little bit more. Tell me about one of the bad elevator pitches when you were just starting off, and when you look back at it, you go, "Oh yeah, there was a bunch of mistakes."
It's like a golden rule in sales. So I don't know how it evaded me, but Like I mentioned to you in our initial conversation, our business model doesn't necessarily require our clients to pay us directly, and leading with that was just a big mistake. It didn't matter.
Really?
People, yeah.
No
Yeah,
way.
people don't trust free, man. They just don't.
Wow, good point. So then did you change the business model? Did you just not leave with that?
Model. We just kind of stopped talking about it. You know, it's like if somebody asked, then we answered. And, you know, just kind of led with the overall value of what we do. And then, you know, once you got into the initial conversation, like the discovery call or whatever, that's when we brought it up. But like from like the pitch, if I called you and I was like, hey, yeah, you know, I want to talk to you about your guys' current technology environment and, you know, how we can help you at no cost to you, they were like, okay, not interested.
Right, because they don't believe free.
Right.
Okay. So lead with value. That's good. But sometimes people can, you know, so many people just pitch the end solution, and then once again, you get no's because it's like, oh, everybody's selling, you know, the end solution. I don't believe that. So what did you know, what's the uniqueness what's the uniqueness that you use to show that value immediately to also help people trust you?
So we also made it very important to understand our target market, like who we work with specifically. And that was another thing we had kind of, you know, anybody, any business can benefit from our services, right? Like anybody could. Everybody uses phones, everybody uses internet, you know, everybody has emails, everyone has this, everyone has that. But we had decided it was in our best interest to target people in the Chicagoland area, with, you know, between like the 50 and 250 employee range. And once we had a better understanding of that, we've had a lot more success. So, you know, that was a change we made. I think that kind of answers your question. It was just, you know, overall understanding who we wanted to work with, and that kind of made everything simpler from there.
Okay. And then to go into that a little bit more, so you focused on people, you said in the Chicago what area?
Chicagoland area. Sorry.
Chicagoland area. Gotcha. You focused on people in the Chicagoland area. Is there any other things or details that you chose to focus on that were beneficial?
Yeah, we work with early stage startups, and then also, so, you know, 50 to 250 employee range with small IT department. We find those are the biggest, you know, we have the most value of people like that because they just don't have the time and resources at their disposal to do what needs to be done, and that's where we come in. And then also, you know, the early stage startup ones because they just, you know, you know, as things get bigger and going and rolling for them, they learn the value of IT when it's too late.
Yeah.
So we're able to assist there. So those are the majority of our clients fall like right into those parameters.
Okay. Let's see. Now there's two places we could go. Let's go a little bit further into focus, because focus is just such a great way to win. What, you know, in terms of your service providing, what do you think is some of the best work that you guys even do?
I think that we add a tremendous amount of value from the overall support side. So I guess, you know, like it's kind of, so our model is very similar to a brokerage, but the way that I explain it is, you know, if you were buying a house, you know, somebody takes you around and show you all the houses. You know, you guys discuss which ones you like. You know, you buy your house, and then they say, you know, enjoy your life. You know, go live, and let me know if you ever want to buy a new one. The difference with us is once, you know, we buy your, so to speak, house, you know, we help you move in. You know, if you have any problems with your house, you know, you call us. We, you know, give you the direct line into support, into the vendor support. So there's our difference. And then, you know, when the time comes when you are going to move, we're already, you know, organized, ready, and I'm going to help you. But so some of our best work is definitely on the support side. You know, we leverage our vendor contacts and resources very well, and you know, because we're new, we'll do things that people won't do. You know, we don't have hours. You know, we'll work with people on this.
Yeah,
so
get the problem.
You know, we're it sucks sometimes. Don't get me wrong, but we're proud of the work we do from that standpoint.
Yeah, certainly. Okay, so now we're going to shift a little bit. You know, that was more of the business side, the tactical side, the sales side, but we're going to shift this a little bit to, you know, just more the regular life, being a real person side, but also just the entrepreneur side in general. So if we put you in a time machine right now and we put you back to back to that point where you got laid off, and your job was to tell you a year ago when you were getting laid off a better way to start, what would you say to yourself?
Save your money. Like, what are you doing? That's about the only thing I would have told myself.
Really? Okay. But go into that a little bit more.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, being prepared. You know, the entrepreneurship life is not as glamorous in the beginning. So I would have been more prepared financially is what I would have done. But I don't know. Honestly, it sounds corny, but I don't know that I would have changed much. The learning experience has been awesome. You know, maybe it could have been more successful if I had known some things, but maybe not. So I don't know. I honestly don't think I would have changed it.
Okay, cool. So you're saying if you had a time machine and you went back, you'd just buy some McDonald's and then go back into the future and not change anything. All right. McDonald's just got, shout out. Anyways, the other side of this is, well, some people have fear, some people don't. What do you you have it as it pertains to this journey, or, what's your perspective on that?
Do I have what? I missed the one part.
Gotcha. So some people have a lot of fear as it pertains to owning a business or running a business. But, how do you have fear as it pertains to this, or are you just rolling with the punches? Just what's your perspective on that?
I don't. No, not really. I enjoyed it. I mean, I guess the scary part is, just trying to make things work sometimes. But it's exciting. I don't know. It's not something I'm afraid of. I love it. It's awesome.
Cool. You're working with how many co-founders right now?
2.
Okay. And then how have you been able to, how is that relationship even managed?
It's something that people, that's a great question. It's something that people, you just have to do it to see it. It's like, I could tell you how it will go. People kind of say the same thing, like, don't work with friends, all like the cliches, but I work with your friends. It's been, we've had no problems from that standpoint.
Okay.
And how the relationship is managed, we just keep structure. I mean, if you don't have structure, it's chaos. So, we have planned meetings, just to talk about business. We make sure to not only talk about business. That's the thing that, would be, a ginormous downfall. If we just only talked about it, then sure, I can understand why people say don't work with friends. But, we like sports. We talk about that stuff too. We keep it casual most of the time, but we all have a general understanding of what's important and what needs to be done. So the relationship kind of manages itself. We all work together, so it kind of made sense to keep it going.
Okay. Were there any kind of, you've been working together for a year now. Were there any particular growing pains or shifts that your team made that you found were pretty beneficial for the team or for the company?
Growing pains. Yeah. I mean, like, just like overall projections and then also the structure side. I mean, sure, I make it sound like it was smooth from the start, but, there was a reason why we had to make structure and have planned meetings because, if we didn't, we would talk about things that needed to get done and then we just kind of wouldn't. So we kind of put something in place to make sure that, we can review the things we wanted to do, kind of talk about where we were at with certain things. So just overall, like, implementing, like, more structure and just kind of staying on top of things. And, and that also reminds me, the structure is moving away from, like, Excel sheets and, like, Google Docs and stuff like that. That was, I almost forgot how awful that was. Once we moved, HubSpot first began. So once we moved away from Google Docs and all of that,
yeah,
that helped a ton because that was such a pain.
Really?
Yeah, it sucked.
What do you?
It was so unorganized.
Interesting. So why was it a pain? What'd you move to? How to get a lot better?
We had like call sheets and we had, we just had people in a Google Doc online, and it was like trying to update notes, like saying when activity was on there, but it was like super, super unorganized. You would like read it and it was hard to understand when somebody talked to them so there was a couple times where people would be like, I literally just talked to somebody from where you guys are yesterday. If you like stop calling me, it's like, we don't want to be like those people. Or like, yeah, I have a meeting with somebody in your company next week. Why are you calling me? It's like, and we're a company, so that's unorganized looking as it is. So it's not a good thing to be unorganized and new. You don't want to really make bad impressions like that. So we found HubSpot as a CRM, so that's been great for us. We moved our contacts into there, and it gives us updates on notes and all that kind of stuff by date, so we don't really run into that anymore.
Okay, so you're saying you were organizing sales on Google Docs and you moved that over to HubSpot?
Yeah.
Gotcha. I can see exactly how that would help. What do you think, just you personally, just to go back to more the human side and the personal side, I mean, what's the best growth that has helped you in this process just as you look across the last year?
Oh, man, I've learned so much. I just, like, things that I just never would have learned before. Taking ownership in something, you reach to different lengths that you weren't necessarily going to before. Like I taught myself how to, write HTML and CSS and a little bit of Java and make a website and save some money. It was, it was long weekends. I'm not as much of a social, I don't go out as much as I used to. But I mean, it's something. It's awesome. If my friends now, they'll tell me it's like I talk about the company all the time just because I'm so proud of it. It's like I don't try and sell anything because they got nothing to buy from me. They're all basically useless from that standpoint. But I'm just so proud of it. So I talk about it literally all the time.
Did you know you were always going to own a business? Were you just thinking about it?
I wanted to at least get into leadership. Like I thought that I'd be a good manager at least. But then I started thinking about it more. I mean, my grandparents owned a restaurant for almost 40 years. My dad runs his own business. It didn't always look, like I said, entrepreneurship is not as glamorous as it looks sometimes, especially when you're on the inside. So, I never really was, it wasn't like, I can't wait to own my own business one day, and then all of a sudden it was, I need to run my own business, just out of it, one day.
Okay. So you're saying you you knew you were going to be a leader, but it was a maybe.
Yeah, didn't always know, didn't really think about it. I liked my last job a lot. You know, I didn't really know, I didn't really anticipate leaving. Mm-hmm. But then, like I said, I kind of was inspired by, you know, what some other people were doing. I thought it was, you know, awesome to kind of do what I was doing, but out on your own.
Yeah.
And I thought about it, and then the opportunity presented itself. And I'm, you know, super happy it did.
Yeah. Just as you look at yourself and more in a self-improvement sense, and once again, we're more on the kind of the real human side of owning a business. But what do you think is something that is a current weakness that should benefit you to be better at?
I think that sometimes I could improve to be more consistent. I just, you know, sometimes I'll want to accomplish more, so I'll stay up later, you know, and I'll just be tired, kind of burn myself out a little bit. But I'd say consistency would be the one thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Okay, let's see. You mentioned your dad owning a business. Has he been a mentor in this process for you?
You know, he tries, but he's the busiest person I've ever met in my life. So, sometimes he gets, you know, like with, you know, a lot of things. Like if I have something coming up that I didn't really expect, I can give him a call and he'll give me his input on how he'd handle it. But I mean, my family's all Italian, so he's a stubborn, stubborn, hard nosed, like, you know, keep grinding kind of guy. So, yeah. I mean, yeah, he gives me a lot of help, but you know, that's another thing that's great about who I work with. I mean, we talk things through and we work really well together, so that makes things easier.
Okay. Yeah, we'll kind of go into a little bit more. I mean, just about, you know, the people you work with and how they motivate you or how they inspire you or just why you like them.
It's nice being able to work with people who kind of have the same goals that you do, that want similar things, you know, that aren't really complacent, and then just being able to, you know, kind of logically talk things through, but also not to be so naive that you just think that you're going to get things because you want them. So like we play devil's advocate a little bit, but not to the point where it's annoying. So like we keep each other grounded, which is nice.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's a great thing. It makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So James, this will be one of the last questions. There might be another one after this, but in particular, you seem like somebody who is emotionally intelligent, whether or not you would even call yourself that. But just in that, give us, you know, if you had to teach people emotional intelligence, and they said, well, what are the top 3 things that we should care about if we're trying to be emotionally intelligent with the people we're working with or with sales? I mean, what do you think are important things to consider when you're trying to?
That's a good one. I mean, something that I am super into is self-awareness. If I was, you know, being a smart ass, I would say number 1, self-awareness, number 2, self-awareness, and number 3, self-awareness. But I won't do that this time. But yeah, so I mean, self-awareness for me too, because once, you know, growing up, I didn't always do very well in school, and, you know, didn't really care, you know, kind of just wanted to do things with my friends and whatever. But you know, that stuff changes as you grow up. So I think once I understood, you know, who I was better and what I wanted, and what I excelled at, what I didn't excel at, it changed a lot of things for me, and I saw a lot more success. Yeah. So I think if you just kind of understand who you are and you know what you want, then, you know, sky's the limit. But and then I guess the other 2 things would be Just, man, that is tough though. Emotionally intelligent. I think that you just have to stay motivated too. I mean, if you're not motivated and if you don't know what motivates you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, listen, that goes back to self-awareness. I don't know. You know what? Maybe
Well,
I will be smarter to stand by that.
let me, I'm going to phrase this a little bit differently. How is it, you have empathy. Okay, I'll ask you this point blank. When you're in sales and you're talking to somebody who might be a prospect or who might be a client, would you say you have 0% empathy, or would you say you at least have some empathy in that situation?
I'd say probably about 60-40. You have to. You really have to have empathy.
Okay.
But also you can't be so blinded by it that you let opportunity pass you by.
Gotcha. And so dive into that a little bit more, because that's really interesting. 60-40.
I think understanding like psychology of sales too is like, if you're too empathetic and you're too nice, then all of a sudden, people, it's like human nature. People kind of take advantage of that, and they don't end up thinking you're as competent and, don't necessarily, believe that you're the expert in your field and all those kind of things. So, kind of being empathetic in terms of understanding their needs and, understanding the pain and what needs to be done to solve it and get them to a point where, they're as successful as they want to be also by working with you.
Yeah, certainly. All right. Well, James, thanks for just taking some time to do this. And I think clearly you're in the grind, but also you have some just very good and interesting perspectives that shows that you know what you're doing. My last kind of the last.
I'm glad it looks that way.
Yeah, right. The last thing that more of just a general friendly question. For those people who are interested, for the little kiddos watching this on LinkedIn for whatever reason, that are interested in starting a business or owning a business, just what would you say to them? And also for the people who are currently in the grind but losing hope, just what are your words to these two individuals?
For the people who want to, I'd say just do it. It's one of those things. It's like it's not that you don't have anything to lose because money is certainly available to you off.
Yeah.
But don't think about it too much. It's one of those things that's super overwhelming. But all of a sudden, you'll look and 3 months later, you have a full stand-up business, and you'll have literally no idea, but you do.
Yeah.
And then for people who are losing hope, just understand why. Try and understand why it's not working. If it's not, if you can understand why it's not working, what you're not doing. As hard as that sounds, then you can make changes and fix things. I don't know. We had hard times, but now we have better times. So, simple as that. Cool.
All right, James. Well, thank you very much for this, and I'll be talking to you a little bit after. But thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It was a good time. If I didn't do this, I'd be a ginormous hypocrite anyway. So we do something similar with IT people. So I had literally no choice. So, but I'm glad I did it.
Nice. All right. Well, sounds good, James.
All righty. Have a good one.
All right. Bye.